One pizza, honey. Okay. Well.
You
Okay.
guys,
Well, he's gonna have to go home. I'm so sorry. I don't have anything, and I'm not cooking right now.
hi
Please close
everybody.
my door. I don't want. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, girl. These kids. These kids. These
Hey,
kids.
Outsters.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining the live.
We
Everyone
are
that
here.
yes, everyone that came from our TikTok friends and family that came on over here. Thank you so very much. Cause this was some BS, right?
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
guys, we're doing something different today. So normally we go live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Talk over there, but the Talk is having some problems with the program that we use. So guess what? We're officially going live on Twitch, first time ever. Hi. So we'll see how that does. When we first started talking about going live, we've been looking at exploring other options anyway.
Hmm.
So I guess today was the day. I mean, we still don't know how long that Talk app is going to be around. So,
Facts.
oh well.
It is what it is. Look, I mean, like I said earlier when I
Yeah.
was talking to everybody on TikTok, listen, on Monkey Don't Stop No Show, we're gonna keep on moving.
Keep it pushing. And we are going to go ahead and keep it pushing. And today's, we've been keeping it really light for the podcast over the last couple of weeks and the episodes that we're doing. And this story here came across our path last week. And, we can't always talk about things the moment that we see it, but it came to our attention last week. And like, hey, we have topics, sometimes we have them scheduled, and we couldn't talk about it on that live for various reasons. And we are close, our season finale is coming soon, so we couldn't exactly cover it within our normal season 3. So we might be a little bit behind to some folks. However, in general, I don't think that there's a lot of people that even know about this story. TTK, I'm not sure what that matters. Um, yeah, that does. Yeah, I don't know how that matters to you. How about you stick around and listen to what we're talking about? I think that's more important. But nonetheless, so today's topic really is about Asha degree. And it's a very little known. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not being rude, but you said something in here in the comments that I just don't understand how that pertains to what we're talking about. Um, but thank you for joining us on YouTube. Why don't you just go ahead and stick around and listen and learn? Let's learn together. So, this is a little known story because, if you're out in the Carolinas, and I haven't always been in the Carolinas, this is a story that some may know and some may not. But as a newer person to the Carolinas, I thought maybe that was why I didn't know about it. But there are people who live here in the Carolinas who have no clue about what happened in to this beautiful young lady who has been missing since 2009. And there's been a break in her case that was in earlier this year in February, and we're going to talk about it. So, justice for Asha Degree.
And I'm happy you said I've been saying the baby's name wrong. I said Asia. I kept calling the
Oh,
baby Asia.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. So no wonder they don't think they know what the heck is going on. They're like, who is that? I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I don't know if this
Um,
person is being obtuse. I don't know what that is. Yeah,
I don't care.
whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Yep. If you meant it in a
Same.
different way, I apologize. I'm happy to apologize. I just don't know what your intention is. So maybe you need to make that clearer. Because what we're talking about does impact our community that you seem so concerned about. um,
Okay.
you know, yeah, let's move forward. um, but Aisha Degree did go missing in 2009, and her family has not had any closure to what has happened to her. And earlier this year, there was a break in her case where few different elements came into play here, but the family is closer to getting an answer as to, what happened to her. For some context, she would be 34 years old today.
Mm.
And that's a long time for a family to not know what happened to their loved one. And for it to be at the hands of someone who oddly lives in their town, and for it to be kept quiet for so long, I don't know. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by it. And for a little bit of context, she went missing in 2009, and there's a bit of a time jump because in September of 2024, an undisclosed person did come forward and went to the police department claiming that they have secondhand knowledge of someone who may have been involved in her I want to say disappearance, because I'm not sure what, I don't want to get dinged.
Well,
But mhm.
from my understanding, when I listened to the news segment about her, um, her parents really do believe that um she's still with us. They believe that she is still with us.
That may be so. God willing, that could be the case. But there are people who have come forward, or the person that came forward with what little, with knowledge that he knew that wasn't the case. Again, we're not. This is all alleged.
Okay.
So we don't have firsthand knowledge. Obviously, we're not the police department. We're not her family, but the person who did come forward, and in all the articles that we've read, they didn't name that person, and I believe that's the right thing to do. But when they came forward, this is in September of 2024. This person frequented some of the places that the alleged perpetrator frequented, where they would, turn up. And a young woman by the name of, allegedly, Lizzie. At the time of this happening, her name would have been Lizzie Deadman. And she, in a drunken moment, she kind of said, let me see if I have the quote here. She was sobbing and bawling, and that she killed Asia Degree. So the family has, and rightfully so, you should always maintain and hold on to hope. But the person that came forward said that they heard her make this statement in a drunken moment. Um, and I think that is ultimately what paved the way for search warrants and things like that, so they can really. But by that point, it was 24 years before there was any movement towards closure for the family, which is unfortunate. No family should have to live through that.
I agree. And for such a long period of time to not know.
Yeah,
When she disappeared, she was only 9.
yeah,
That is a lot of time that has went past and not know. And it's sad. I feel very bad. Excuse me, my heart goes out
yeah.
to her family,
And
her
we'll
all her
we'll
friends.
we'll drop some links on the YouTube episode once we make it public. We'll drop some links of some of the stuff that, the main two articles that we used for this. But it seems, just by the way that I'm reading it, that this Lizzie Deadman, and she's been married since then, so this is probably not her current name. Allegedly, her parents may have help cover up what happened to Asia.
So do you think that's why her parents are saying she's still alive?
Um, I think that sometimes we want to believe in the best possible outcome in all things, and I don't imagine how any parent wouldn't feel like they have to hold on to the best possible outcome. So I believe that that's probably what they're the main reason why the degrees are holding on to that mindset that she's, you know, why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to?
So I just want to make sure I'm following that I'm tracking this correctly. So the police believe that the parents helped hide what
The
happened to
Deadmans.
her.
I hope I'm saying their name right. Allegedly, that the now Roy Deadman is now deceased, and I believe that I think it's Cara Deadman. I'm not sure if I jot that down.
Oh,
That
okay,
was
okay, okay, okay.
Lizzie's parents, and allegedly it was Lizzie
Okay.
is the perpetrator. I don't want to call it. Fuck it. Sorry, they have no. I mean, there's times when people are like, "Call, look, the alleged perpetrators." There, the alleged perpetrators, Sarah, sorry, Lizzie Deadman, and her parents helped cover up what happened to Asia. Um, that's what it reads like to me. And that person, I believe that that person coming forward, who, as far as I can read, is an unnamed person. I think it led the way, paved the way for all of the search warrants for the family, multiple family properties, and the car where DNA evidence of Asia was found in this vehicle.
Oh, now that makes me
Yeah,
angry. Oh, that makes me so
yeah.
mad. Where's my stress
It's like,
balls?
with
Girl, it made me so
and even
angry.
her parents had, they have been interviewed over the years. It's this case has been on America's Most Wanted. I think the timing of it was unfortunate because it was in 2001, right before, September 11th, and I can't imagine how September 11th may have thrown a, a
Yeah,
cloud
yeah,
over what
yeah, yeah,
happened
yeah.
with her. I know that I don't ever remember seeing on the news anything, and at the time I wasn't here in the Carolinas, but I think this is something that should make nationwide news, and it doesn't appear to it. I've asked people who lived in the Carolinas, and they're like, "Am I supposed to know who that is?" I'm like, "How can you not?" And they're like, "No." So even you would think that would be widely circulated around the Carolinas alone, but it doesn't seem. I mean, maybe not.
So
Excuse me.
I did kind of touch on this, and we touched on this during other episodes where usually when it's a person of color, things are not really handled, in my personal opinion, the way um they should. I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
should. I'm not gonna compare. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna add their dynamics to it. I'm pretty sure everybody really understands what it is that we're saying right now.
yeah,
Like when it comes to people of color, children of color, I think I know those cases are handled
yeah.
differently.
And her parents have in an interview. I don't know have the exact dates, but from what I did read in an interview, that her parents has said the same, that they don't believe that enough attention was paid to her. It's kind of like with the news cycle, and I think it's gotten worse over the years, right? The news cycle is very, very short. It used to be longer, but it's become so short because of social media. It's the next big shocking moment, the next big splash, what's going to shock people and get people to pay attention. They can't, so media, news, they don't want to keep talking about the same thing over and over. Um, but it is, I forgot where I was going with this. Here it is. It's a short, the news
Okay.
cycle is it's gotten shorter over the years. And I think we all know that it's different. If what the girl who pretended to be kidnapped, the adult person, what was her name? And we did a story about this in season 2. What was her name?
We did.
Um,
Girl, hold on one
I was
second.
like, what was that girl's name? I'm gonna find it. Sorry, people. We covered a lot over 3 seasons, and sometimes we for Brittany. Wasn't it Brittany something Taylor? Brittany Taylor?
Oh,
If I remember her name closely,
um,
I'll be shocked as hell. Let me see.
uh,
Brittany, somebody Taylor.
I'm showing Carly
Girl, that was
Russell.
it. I'm wrong. Carly
Yeah,
Russell.
when, when I found it and you had said that other name, you know it don't take a lot to confuse the shit out of my ass. I was over here like,
That
what?
was right, Carly Russell.
Maybe
We
I was about to say, well, maybe we have more
no
than
no.
one. That's
I'm like,
the
wait. Sorry, I can't remember everything. But yeah,
girl.
we've always known this is the case, and Carly
Hmm.
Russell's, even unfortunately, even though it was a freaking hoax, it really did highlight that, hey, this doesn't happen. Like, not in that case with Carly Russell, there had never been. I've never seen such a response of people sharing and sharing and sharing. Like, let's help get this girl found, and then it turned out to
Right,
be a hoax.
right.
But we've known since then.
I,
We talked about it. The,
yes. Um, it's okay. So in that
Mhm.
case, I'm happy she really was not abducted,
Agreed. Agreed.
right? But I'm very thankful that she was not abducted, that it was a hoax, right? That's the best case scenario, honestly, for her
Hmm.
parents. Now, it angered people like you and I and other people in the community because they're like, hold the hell up. People really put in time.
For the first time in when?
They really spreaded the word. I remember coming to you saying, yo, I am shocked at how people are really using the social media platforms to get their word out. And then you
I
play it,
know.
that takes away from real victims like
Exactly.
Asia.
Exactly. Like this is not a joke. Like there's real families out there that have experienced this, and
Right.
it's a crying shame. And thank God she was okay, and it did turn out to be a hoax. But
Mm-hmm.
hun, it sucks that
Mm-hmm.
yours was the first case where people actually paid attention. And I'll tell you this: ever since her thing becoming a hoax, I don't see things getting shared as quickly as it was. So we that momentum that happened with her was lost.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
does that have anything to do with
I
Asia?
agree.
No, but it is highlighting something that we have talked about before, that the attention is not the same.
So it may not have anything to do with Asia, her case specific, but what about the future
Hmm.
Asias? What about all the other
God,
children or people
God
of
forbid.
color?
Oh my God, yeah,
So it's still crucial. It's still important. It still needs to be discussed, and that's why we are discussing it
yeah,
tonight because we need not forget that these things still happen, and I'm happy that they have found new evidence in her case to where it can actually be closure. I apologize. I don't know if you heard that. Where it can actually be closure in her case, and that somebody knows what happened to her, that her story is going to be known and it's going to have an ending. Um, I hate that her ending looks like it's going to be really bleak.
yeah. I don't want to.
I
Mm,
hate that. I hate that. I mean, I don't want to assume. I'm only going off by they're saying they found
hmm.
DNA. They say that I who knew? I didn't know. Girl, I guess I I guess I really don't watch enough crime shows because at one time I thought I watched enough crime shows to know, right?
You
But
don't
they
watch
said the
enough
DNA,
Dateline?
girl,
Come on now. Shady boots.
I felt
You felt judged.
I felt real judged.
Ma'am, you have a whole reminder.
Wait, wait, wait. To our new people that are watching us on Twitch that do not know that we were in the middle of a whole live when that reminder went off,
Yeah.
but it's okay. I'm old and I like reminders, and I do watch 48 Hours and Dateline and
All the
whatever.
crime
I don't
shows.
care. Any crime show, any I watch it. Okay. Um, and maybe it's my toxic thing. I don't know, but I'm gonna watch it. Um, but again, clearly I don't watch enough of it because I did not know. Did you know that they're saying that the DNA that they are looking for and have found some in a car, an old car, they say it can last for like hundreds of years and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which makes sense because that's how we find out about a lot of
Mm-hmm.
history.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, Paisley. We appreciate you hopping on here and you on YouTube. We're just gonna talk it
Thank
through. Thank you for your
you.
support. Stick around.
Tell us where you're joining us from, Paisley. That would be nice. And tell us if you've heard of this story and what you think about it. Okay? Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead,
for sure.
sis. I'm
Drop it in the
sorry.
comments. We want to know where you guys are joining us from. So we can get an idea of where our listeners are joining us. And we have a way to track that on one of our other platforms, but here we don't really know. So we'd like to know more about where you guys are joining us from. So we get a better sense of our base and
Yeah.
the topics, of course, that we cover for our podcast.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was my stomach
Absolutely.
growling.
Because you guys are so important to us. You're important to us. Um, yeah, we need you guys to grow and we appreciate all of the support. So
Absolutely. And if you
thank
have heard
you.
of this story, so we're not behind the news cycle, but it's just a matter of when we were able to talk about it because we have a schedule and we try to keep it tight. Um but this came across our attention about a week or so ago, and the break in the case, or where there was a lot more traction, was in February of this year. But even still, like, it wasn't making the usual rounds on. But then maybe because I haven't been on TikTok like that, but I didn't see that it made the usual rounds when it came to social media. That could be part of it. And even though I do pay attention to the news, I watch my local news, and this is sort of a local-ish story. I spend I checked my local news, and there was nothing, and I would imagine that that's something that would make, at least from one of these two states in the Carolinas, like it's kind of local-ish, and nothing.
Um, well, we can like I hate to beat a dead horse, and I guess this goes to what we discussed earlier is that when it comes to people of color, I don't think it's handled with a sense of
Yeah.
urgency.
If you guys agree, disagree, feel free to drop it in the comments. We would like to hear your thoughts on it. Even if you do disagree, like, we're open to discussion, respectful discussion, of course. We have no time for the shenanigans. We're too grown for the crap. All right. So as long as it's respectful, we're open to a
Mhm.
conversation. Um, but I think it's unfortunate, and I really do hope that the family can gain some closure with actual answers. I think it's unfortunate that at least one person who could have been a party to what happened to Asia is no longer living to speak their piece. But I think that between the DNA evidence and then the text message conversations that was discovered on another warrant, they seem very interesting. I don't know if that's the right word.
Okay, go for it. No,
um, I don't have all of the. I try to write some notes, but I couldn't write everything down. But it seemed incriminating.
okay,
There, that's the word. That's the
got
word I
it.
was looking for. And it was text
Okay,
messages between
okay.
allegedly Lizzie Deadman, who's now her new last name I don't remember. But where she felt like she was cooked, and I think to quote, "I'm cooked." And from the person that came forward to the police with that incident, her and her sister were both at this function where this allegedly Lizzie said what she said, and her other sister kindly told her to shut the f up in that interaction, which means that so like the whole family kind of knew this happened.
So other people
Yeah, at
knew.
least certainly within the family, it appears. I say appears because again, this is all alleged, and no one has been found guilty in the court of law.
Well, well, here we go. That might be another. That might be a contributing factor into why it went so long being unsolved, right? Because most parents, do I want to say most? Because I'm not for sure about blanket
Hmm.
statements, right? But I would think me as a parent, if my 9-year old went disappeared, right? No, I'm in y'all face. I'm in y'all face. I'm on the news. No, you're not gonna forget about my kid. Like,
Well,
like we're gonna talk about this every chance I get, right? I mean, don't misunderstand me. Especially when you have other kids involved. Like if you have other kids more than that child, so you still have to provide for all the other kids, right? You still have to live
mhm.
life, right? But I'm calling. Hey, investigator so and so. What's going on with my case? What updates are you making? Um, I'm reaching out to different media platforms, and I'm like, hey, my child went missing. This is where she was at. This is what she was last seen in. This is how old she is. I'm trying to give as much information about this so that my child's story does not die.
Yeah, and I think it was a little bit different for this family because Mr. Degree, Asia's father, was in a very serious, very serious car accident within months, maybe. I mean, within 6 months of her disappearance, he was in a very bad car accident where he was critical. He had a very lengthy um, healing process. So, recover. Thank you. Yeah, he
Recovery,
had a very
recovery.
lengthy recovery process. And then
I
you
got you.
combine that with the fact that in September, a national emergency unlike anything we've ever known happened. I don't know how much that plays into the fact of where, like, I think resources were taken away from her case when that when in September of 2001 because of the nationwide emergency that we experienced as a nation at that time. So I don't know how much that played into that, but they do annual walks and stuff to kind of keep her name and remember her name within the community. And things have come up over the years, but I mean, it's shocking to me that it took so long for that one person to even come forward and speak to the police about it. Like, hasn't that been weighing on you over the years? And I think the other thing that really strikes me about this whole scenario is like, I understand wanting to protect your kids. But for Mr. and Mrs. Deadman, at what is your line? What is the line that you draw when teaching your kids fucking accountability? What is that line? Like God only knows what happened here. Only God knows, and Lizzie
Mhm.
and maybe Mrs. Deadman at this point, the senior Mrs. Deadman or whatever's in it. They know what happened. Like the police aren't going to
Mhm.
come for you and have warrants unless they have a good inclination. You might be that person, especially in your community, ma'am. Just saying. They're not coming for you unless they have a really pretty good idea of that you're guilty.
Right.
So like for
Mhm.
the dead men as the parents, like what is your line for teaching your kids that you have to become accountable for the things that you do? Do you cover up this? What is that okay? This is a philosophical. I
Mhm.
know it sounds like I'm giving you a philosophical question, but I'm like that is not okay.
Under no any circumstances. None. No, absolutely none. It's no justification for it. If they knew what happened and they helped cover it up, um, they're just as guilty and just as
And they all
responsible.
should be like put away in prison and be put
They
on
should.
fucking
I
trial.
agree.
Every last one of them.
I agree. I agree.
Every last one of them. I don't give a
Mhm.
shit how long it takes.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
again, it's alleged, right? Sorry.
Alleged. Girl, please don't forget to throw that out there, because then we
Alleged.
don't need no mess.
Alleged. um, but I just think it's unfortunate for the degrees to have to experience that. But then to kind of come closer to getting some answers, and it's just shameful. That
Yeah.
was me. Sorry, y'all.
Oh. So I was about to start looking at my phone. I'm like, God dang,
Nah,
can you hear
that
that?
was me this
Um,
time.
you know, we all hope for the best outcome,
Mhm.
but what we want more than anything, I really feel like, is the truth to come out.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to something that I was watching. I was watching something, I can't remember what it was, but I was watching something, and the lady was like, it's the not knowing. And I believe that's what it is. It's not
Yeah.
knowing what happened to this poor baby.
It's
Just a
funny
baby.
that the one of the investigators on this case, I was like, wow, that's a real. I don't want to call it a full circle moment, but one of the investigators on the case was 10 years old when this happened,
Yes.
and I'm like, he
Yes.
remembers it well because he lives in that community, and now he's investigating this case, and he's the one who he kind of they interviewed him, and he says, it's something that they think about all the time. Hurricanes, something that they think about all the time, and
Yeah.
what a blessing it is to have people that are truly dedicated to finding out what happened to her,
Right.
to give this
Right.
family closure and even a community closure. Can you imagine you going to the local grocery store and it's your neighbor, and it's that neighbor?
I'm sorry. Uh,
Right? You just walking past them not knowing that they're capable, just going to, I don't know, the local Food Lion, whatever, and not realizing that these people are capable of such a thing. So when I say closure for the community, that's what I'm talking about. Like at least they know who you're working with. Like you're capable of some really horrific things, and then to hide it and then cover it up.
um,
I mean, I don't know what that line is because I've got kids too, and I'm not really. God willing, I'll never have to be faced with a situation like that where I have to make a choice. But I think that there's
mhm.
a line, and I know my conscience. Like I always tell you, I'm like, don't tell me anything. Because I'm not lying for anybody.
Mhm.
No, that is my own good conscience, and I will not.
Girl, I'm sorry. You know what I
Mm.
thought about? Me earlier when I was quoting that song and I kept quoting the song and I was like throwing the
I'm
cardinal,
like,
making you like,
no, I don't want to know.
is she confessing? Is she confessing? Or I was like, no, I never threw a card in a darn lake. It was from a song.
So y'all know, don't tell me anything. Just don't fucking tell me. Just don't tell me. Because I'm
That's
not going to
because
be privy to
y'all
someone else's actions that may put my ass in jail. No, ain't
look.
happening.
It never even hit me until you was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna have to take that part out," and I was like, "What is she talking about? Like, take what part out?"
Don't tell me.
Like, we gotta have to edit this shit. We gotta edit this shit. Hell no, leave that shit in there because I didn't put no damn Cardinal late.
Don't like I'm serious.
Like, don't commit no
And tell me.
crime and think that T is gonna hold that shit for you because she's not. As soon as the first person come question, ain't nobody even got a question. All they gotta do is look at her suspicious.
Vomit.
She gonna tell it.
Listen, I know my tolerances. I
God
know
dang, it was
I'm not good at lying, so I don't even try. So on that note, just don't. don't don't ever put me in that position. Period. But apparently this family did. Ugh. Apparently. Ugh. I mean, it's just allegedly. It's just
allegedly.
disgusting. Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's pretty
Um,
disgusting. But it's kind of like I said. The police ain't gonna come for you, especially in your community, people. I'm not talking about my community or in the Black community, to put it plainly. If they're coming for you, they already have a good idea. Rarely have I ever, in fact. Now, you guys can correct me if anyone's watching, and maybe you have had a different experience, but rarely are they going to come for you unless they have a good idea of who is the ultimate what word? I don't want to say
corporate.
culprit, suspect.
Suspect.
Thank you.
Suspect. A
They're not
suspect.
gonna come
That's
for
it.
you
That's
like
it.
that. Like with our community, it's maybe a
Mm.
different scenario because there's plenty of people sitting in jail that are innocent. Because just saying that the justice system ain't the same for everybody. But in this instance, if they're coming for you, I feel like there's a
A
good
reason
reason.
of that.
Hmm.
They found
Hmm.
something. And like we said,
Hmm.
allegedly, because sometimes we can be
True.
wrong. So we don't it's always innocent until proven guilty.
True.
We wanna make sure we state that
Yeah.
fact. Like, we don't know who did what. You're innocent until proven guilty. However, there's a lot of
Hmm.
substantial
And then the
evidence
court of public opinion is a
um
big thing.
that they have. I mean, I don't mean no harm, but public opinion is just that, an opinion. Shit, everybody have one. What they
Like a
say? Opinions are like what?
everybody. I mean, in this instant, I mean, you want to be like we listen and don't judge, but dude, I am judging, and maybe that's something I just got to make peace with between God and I. But in this instance, I am judging, because there's way too many things that are guiding this whole story in one direction that it's kind of hard to say, like, you know that.
Well, what's that old saying? If it look like a duck, quack like a duck. What is it? What is it?
Looks like
What
a
is how
duck,
that
talks
saying
like a
go?
duck, it's a duck. Walks like a duck,
Quack
it's a
like a
duck.
duck. Quack
That
like a duck.
that old
Quack
thing.
like a duck.
um,
Then it's a what? It's a
just
duck.
saying. But again, in the court of public opinion, I think that the public may have feel that it's one way, but they haven't been found guilty in the eyes of the law, which is where it really counts. I don't know if
Right.
this is an affluent family. It seems like they could be, considering that they owned multiple assisted living communities. So maybe they are affluent, and maybe that's why it was easier for them to keep this hidden for so
Slip
long.
through the
Yeah,
cracks.
money is. If you got money, you live different.
Child.
You have access. You have access to things that like the average person maybe wouldn't. So I don't know how much that plays into it, but my guess, or I have a theory that the family may be wealthier than most, and maybe they had a better access to be able to keep this quiet.
Um, facts.
Yeah, yeah, um,
I,
yeah.
I, I every time I look at her picture,
Yeah.
because you have it right there. I'm like, oh man, poor
Yeah. I
kid.
mean, she'd be 34 today. Like, she could like, I'm not putting that into the air, but like, that could be anyone's child. And for any family to go through
Right.
that, have this experience of not having answers, like, it's unfair. And I know that sounds like a juvenile thought, but it's not fair. They live in the same town. You pass this person, you have this inclination that maybe they have something to do with it. Or even if you don't, you're
Mhm.
passing this person making nice over just being, living from the same town, passing each other at the local grocery store or whatever, the local fair. And all this whole time, they could potentially be the culprit of the worst day and the
Mhm.
worst moment of your life. Like, that is mind blowing to me.
Mm.
That's mind blowing to me because it is a small town. It's not like it's a big place.
And I bet you that that makes it even more scary,
Mhm.
right? It makes it more scary because all you know is that she went missing. They never caught anybody, so that means this person is still
Yeah,
out here. I think I would be me mugging side eyeing
I have
everybody.
moved away. Like, well, one of y'all knows something. Um, what I did think was kind of weird, I thought that I was like, oh, it's really unfortunate because it does seem like, she was out in the wee hours of the morning. Like, her family saw her go to bed at a certain time. And then when they try to wake her up in the next morning, they realize that she was missing. So it's possible. Like, the possibilities is like, well, did she leave on her own accord initially? Like, how it gives the appearance that maybe she did leave on her own accord initially, and then something happened along the way. Because if a
Um,
Sunday night, your family's watching a game, I think it was a fight or something like that. They were watching some sort of game, some sport. She's going to bed at midnight. The next morning, they go to wake her up, and she's just not there. Um,
I don't know. I don't know too many 9 year
Same. I
olds.
was thinking the same thing. But
I
the
don't.
family has never been the FBI. Sometimes the FBI, according allegedly from what I read, the FBI has maintained that may have been how she ultimately left the home initially, because and there were people who had saw her on the road, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. They saw her on the road, and I don't know if they called it in, but someone did come forward saying they saw what they thought was a young girl walking like in 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So that's like some of the weird parts of the case. Not, I mean, the whole thing is weird, but some of the things that I would think would be hard to get an answer for. You know.
If you see a nine
Mhm,
year old, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
mhm.
cut you off. If you see a 9 year old walking the street at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that wouldn't be odd enough to where you would make a phone call then?
I mean, I would. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't be out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just saying.
I'm asleep. Girl, I can't hardly stay past 9 o'clock
That part.
p.m. So I know.
That part. It'd be a rare moment that I'm out in the streets anywhere at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But fine, maybe you work a night job, weird shift, whatever. But if I was, I would be. Well, maybe cell
Right.
phones wasn't a thing. Let me think. 2001, cell phones were a thing, but not everyone had one.
But there was definitely
This is a
payphones,
rural era. It's a
rural
rural,
area.
rural.
I can't say it much
There,
better.
it's a rural area, so I think access
Okay.
to a payphone will be a little bit harder. I've been to that area, and not recently, but I have been, and it's not very populated. So I think access to a cell phone at that time, or a payphone
Wow.
at that time in the morning, might have been a little bit harder. Um, and like, I think back, I'm like, I had a cell phone, but I
Okay.
remember not everyone had a cell phone back then. It was not what it is now. Um, but
Okay.
then I'm like, well, why didn't he pull over and say, hey, you need some help? But then he could be accused of trying to, so I'm like, it's a little bit iffy. What's the best way to handle it? But as a woman, I'd be like, I would have said, hey, do you need some help? That's what I would have done. And then of course try to get, can we get you somewhere? Can I get you to a cell phone? Can I call anybody for you? Like that's kind of, I think, the direction I would have
Right.
taken. But I think for a man it would be harder. They may not think, because they wouldn't want to be accused of attempting. So I don't know if any gentlemen joining us, if you want to kind of comment on that. Do you, like, how would you approach it as a man if you were one of the drivers that happened to encounter her, or someone of that age? Like, what would you do, or what would you have done? I mean, now it's a little bit easier, 911 right from your phone. But back then, I don't know. I genuinely feel like I would have, hey, can I get you somewhere? Who can I call for you? That's, how I would have approached it. Because back then I did have a cell phone. Just saying. Um, but if anyone wants to comment that, please feel free to do so. But I really hope that this evidence that they're finding now is really going to help the family find the answers that they really need. Like they're getting, I don't know. I think, it's just so sad.
Yeah, I believe that too many times, first of all, for any family to not know is just sad. But I think a lot of times the reason why cases like this is so hard is because they're so young. They're just kids. Um, Me as a parent, I can't imagine. I don't want
No,
to know.
absolutely not. I never want to
Um,
imagine that.
I definitely know what it feels like to. Hmm, I definitely know what it feels like to be put in a situation where um I'm trying to figure out how to articulate my words right here. To be scared of that being the
Mhm.
outcome. I honestly, authentically know what that feels like as a parent. Um, However, for your child to be just
Mhm.
gone, like in my situation, my child was there. I visibly knew what happened, how it kind of happened. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say? Versus your child being gone and you know nothing,
No answers. Yeah.
nothing at all.
Yeah.
Um, I just, and I can't imagine this little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just
for you
sad.
guys who are with us today, this is, whether,
It's just sad.
wherever you are in where you lean when it comes to faith, this is a good time to say some prayers for the Degree family to find the answers that they need. Or even if you not of, don't have those feelings of faith and belief, that's okay. But you can also always send well wishes and thoughts to the family that they can have the closure that they'll need
Mhm.
to fill those answers, fill that void that's, I can only imagine that they are feeling. Um and, Sundays, we always appreciate it. It is Sunday. We appreciate when you guys are, so please comment any of your thoughts when you think about, you know, Asia, and this whole situation. Please don't be afraid to drop a comment. We're in a judgment free zone. If there's anything that you feel like maybe we haven't thought of that just drop it in there. We're here for it. Um,
That's a lie. That's
oh,
a lie. We're judging. We are judging the people that hid this.
okay. Right. Well, yeah, that's true. I am judging too. Okay. Let me backtrack. I mean, in terms of what thoughts you have about this. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of any thoughts that you have regarding this whole thing, we are judging the people that hit it for sure. And I know that's we're not
Right.
supposed to, but it's kind of hard not to. Um, but please know we always appreciate you joining us on a Sunday. And I really wish that we would have been able to cover this during the regular season because we would have done this a little bit differently. Um, Usually we try to keep our lives to about an hour because it is a Sunday and Monday fun day, back to work, back to school, all that stuff. We try to keep it on a tight schedule because we understand that it's a lot to take time from your Sunday to jump on a live with us. And so had we done this during the regular season, I think we would have done it a little bit differently. It would have been more in depth and possibly
Mm.
100% a longer episode, but then also maybe a two-parter, I think. Um, but I really hope that maybe we can cover the final resolution as we move into season 4 of our podcast because we're about to wrap season 3. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Because our season finale will be
Mm.
aired on the
Yep, March 31st.
31st.
That's our official season finale. And we've expressed this before. We do have a a special series that we're going to bring forth. We will, of course, always be on our Sunday lives. The time might change a little bit, because we're trying to find our sweet spot. So just make sure that you're following us, especially on YouTube, okay? Because all of these lives get saved. And, we have to kind of figure out if we're going to proceed with going live on TikTok. So I think YouTube is probably going to be the best place to find a bulk of our content because the special series that we're going to be working on will only be available on YouTube. So that really is going to be the best place to catch any extra content. I don't know how much we're going to put on Facebook just yet, but those full episodes will be on YouTube. So you guys really need to follow us there. It is Ouse Now Podcast. For those of you who are on Twitch and on Facebook. Yeah.
Yep. As always, are we about to take this thing out?
Mm.
Are we?
Wait, what do you
Are we?
mean? Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah,
Because I,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
girl, I be so
I'm like,
slow.
say what now?
Girl. um, as always, we appreciate every last one that joins our lives and giving us support along this podcast
Mhm.
journey and all of our endeavors. Um, we appreciate you all. We cannot grow without you. Time is such a valuable thing, and it's something that you cannot get back. And so the fact that you gave your valuable time to us here at Al Snap Podcast, it means a lot. So we thank you, and we thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah.
Absolutely. So we keep it tight. We try to keep it under an hour for a Sunday. So thank you for joining us, but make sure you're catching us on YouTube. Thank you for everyone who's already on YouTube following us. We know we have such a great support there. So thanks. And sorry we couldn't do this on TikTok, but hey, oh well. We didn't know how long you'd be around for
We
anyway.
look, gonna keep on rolling.
Rolling down the river.
Girl, I lost my voice.
I
That's not the
know.
one. What monkey? Oh,
I know. But I mean, we keep it pushing. I know.
uh,
I don't know. My Alexa, she threw it out. She threw that out while I was doing something the other day, and I was like, "What?" She just threw the song out. It's been on my mind since. Thank you.
I'm like, wait, I'm talking about the monkey don't stop
And
no
I'm
show.
like, we rolling like we're keeping moving. um,
Okay.
mhm,
Okay. Same
mhm, yep,
concept.
yep.
Same
All
concept.
right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll catch you next week.
Y'all have a good night, okay?